So I've got a comment here, and it comes from John, and it basically was after he made a one-word statement. He's a big viewer because he did send me 2 messages letting me know that he has watched channel and that everything he says here has to do with the products and his opinion on what's going on in the world when it comes to electronics, and not me personally, that he actually likes me. Thank you very much. That's an awesome message, by the way. Hey, if you want to suck up and send me a nice message like that, go right for it, because I feel pretty awesome. On his message though, so his statement has to do with the power output, how good and how reliable are the numbers, RMS. There's so many different kinds of stuff. So I've jotted down a whole bunch of information I gathered online, because this video is going to be based upon the top half of his statement, which has to do with RMS ratings on the products, peak power, what's their advertising numbers. For example, some companies advertise 2,500 watts, and like he says, it's a 5 amp, on the back of the speaker. How can that be so? And should they just put reasonable numbers on it? I mean, these are all very important questions. The second half has to do with brand, reliability of the product, why certain brands break down more than other brands. And I'm going to save that now for a second video, just to keep both these videos reasonably in length, because my first video was over 20 minutes long and I still didn't get to cover everything. So let's really narrow down on power. Power is so important. When we're talking about power, I'm going to ramble off a little bit. This is a statement. I got this online. And again, I'll put links to the website that I got this from, because they deserve kudos to this. But for example, if we take something that's 400 watts RMS. Now, first, let's talk about what RMS is. RMS is the average sampling sound of the amp chip processing the sound, how much energy is putting out. So at any volume, we can measure that. If we measure it at its full volume, we're going to get its maximum full RMS capability. So in this case, let's say a 400 watts. Now what happens is that sound going in at a preamp level is going to have different frequencies. So that's going to shoot the amp to different actual wattage. And then we're going to have a mix of gain levels. That's going to change that as well. So in a matter of fractions of seconds, you're going to have a whole bunch of different wattages. So what they do is they capture an average amount of time, a certain amount of milliseconds, and that's going to be your constant. So this, when you're measuring it weighted or unweighted, you're going to have a certain amount of dBs, and then you'll be able to go for a certain amount of wattage if you're measuring the current flow coming off of that. Now, RMS is the reasonable amount of energy that you can flow through that chip and maintain good reliable use. Play that chip for 8 hours at that level, it'll still work and it'll sound just as good as it did when you started. And that's where they come up and say, oh, well, this is our tolerant noise response. Anyways, that's what RMS. How much power can this chip handle and still work at the end of the day? RMS. Now, if you double that reasonably, you're going to get max power. Max power is basically, if we were to shoot as much energy as we can, what can we continuously run it? We don't care about how it sounds like. It's going to sound like shit. Don't get me wrong. It's going to sound bad. That's going to normally be twice the amount of current flow. That's, in this case, 400 is now turned into 800. We've doubled the power. That's called max wattage. Now, if we double that again, we're going to get to 1600, and they call that peak power. Now, peak power is the flow rate of how much energy can I put through there and get it to generate a sound. Boof. That's actually 1600 watts. Basically, if I'm unlimited in power, now I had to write this down because it's called IPP, is the abbreviated form, and that stands for instantaneous peak power. So this is if we send a burst of energy into the system, how much can we actually get the chip to read on the other end? I don't even know if the chip's going to work after this, but what can we get the read off the chip at the other end? And then it's doubled again, it's 3,200 watts. 3,200 watts is an unreasonable number, but I've actually seen one company use the IPP on their box. And then I've seen lots of companies, it's quite standard to see peak on the box, because you know what, we live in an internet world and everything has to be big numbers, blah, blah, blah. Hopefully people are reading the manual. So I'm going to come to that manual conversation in a minute. Now, there's a number nobody ever really talks about. It's hard. I found it online and I know it exists. It took me a while to remember what the name was, and I had to write down. It was a programmed wattage. Now, Program wattage is basically the amount of power that you can run a chip for a short period of time without damaging the chip. Now, I'm not going to be accepting the quality being the same. The quality's probably gone down a little bit, but that's when, you run your speaker at 110, 120%. And that's usually going to be what you're looking at a reading on somebody who gives that number. So in some cases, RMS will be 400, but the programmed weight will be about 600 or 500. So I can run it, push it above and beyond its capabilities. It's going to increase the distortion level. It's not going to sound as good. And I'm going to be able to run it. That'll come in to the second video. So remember that word right there, and that is called program. Okay, so on powered speakers, this is something we can do because they're all calibrated, they're all programmed in to be one solid piece of work of art. But again, back to the wattage. Let's not get into that conversation about why speakers work and don't work and why some of them break down. Let me turn my paper sideways. Now, I wrote down some brands here. One's JBL. I also took note of Electro Voice before, just reminding things. And I've seen numbers on Mackeys and stuff like that. So one of the other statements that he makes here is that, that Harbinger doesn't give us realistic numbers. That's important because they advertise on their box and they put a number on the box. So that number, just like everybody else, in this case, either 2,000 or 2,500, depending on the brand and model that we're looking at right now. So I'm looking at the wall here and I'm seeing, different wattages on different speakers, but 2,000 watts is normally what you're seeing, or 25. So the 4400 series, their best product they're putting out there. This is the product that I personally have said compares to, if you're looking at running a PRX or the 200 from Electro Voice, that sort of thing, you're looking at stepping it up a bit. That is where the V4400 series comes in. Now, they say that has 2,500 watts on the speaker and on the box, but when you read the manual, the specifications, you're going to learn that in the manual and specifications, this is important, they tell you what the RMS is, so in this case 675. But unlike most companies, which is what I actually found quite impressive, they break it down for you because it's by amp. There's 2 amps in there. There's an amp for the main driver and there's an amp for the tweeter. So again, we're not going to get into much details in that except for talking about the numbers, and that's 225 at 8 ohms for the high frequencies for the top driver, and then 450 watts for the lower. So that's where they get 675. That's their RMS, and then their peak is 2,500. So remember, we'll go with the max, which can double that. So you'll be at 1,350, and then you get to the peak, which would be 2,700. So again, they're not lying. They're actually, 2,500 is just a nice rounded down number. They didn't round up, they rounded down 200, which is, there you go. Now, John, being a good guy, says, other companies don't do this. Like if you look at the JBL stuff like that, they just say 1,500. But again, if you go in the manual, so here it is. I'm going to throw up a screenshot of the manual. Specifications vary. Now, the Eon 715, very price conscious product. That would be your comparable to your, your 3,400, that sort of thing. You're looking at, on the box, advertises 1,300 watts. In the manual and specifications, they bring it down to 650 as an RMS. They tell you that 1,300 is a peak number. Then the PRX 912, that's 2,000 watts on the box. In the manual, they tell you it's 1,000 watts RMS. So they're still playing the same game. Electro Voice they don't tell you anything. They just say 1,000 watts, 1,200 watts. The important number to look at when you're looking at all these is the dB, and then remember to minus at least 20 off of that, because on a rolling average, you're not going to ever hit that big number. It's not that they're cheating. It's just that if you're using an A or B weighted system, something we can hear and listen to, we're not going to hear those microscopic peaks that are going to get you all the way up to that 130 range. We're going to only hear ranges that are going to be closer into the 100. So And plus, I wouldn't run it at that every day because that would be more of your programmed output. So again, realistically, you're 10 below that. So there you go. That is where wattage comes in. Now, this is a horrible marketing thing. This is horrible, marketing stuff like that. dBs is really the number you want to be looking after. You want to be looking at that. And then you want to look at all the other features. You want to package that all up. We'll talk about speakers and why they actually, some of them break more than others, because that's a whole different thing. But more importantly, if you're looking at wattage, you're missing some of the other factors, which is the efficiency of the box, the efficiency of the drivers. You start putting all that together. What type of chipset is inside of it? Is it an A, B, D class power amps? It's a digital processor, which is going to be even cleaner. What type of DSP processing is on top of that? What type of analog and digital adjustments do you have that work all in conjunction with that particular speaker? There's a lot to get into. There's a lot involved there, and a lot of those things will give us variations on the output when it comes to how loud, how many dBs that speaker is going to play at any reasonable volume level. So there you go. I want to talk to you specifically about all of that and just that. Let's keep it simple. Let's keep it at that today. So there you go. That's why we're not talking about the speakers breaking, because it'd be very, very long. Now, very important. So right now, I want to add in, instead of saying, hey, thank you very much for watching, I'm going to say, I've got a new YouTube channel for you to look at. It's not mine. It's from this guy named Stuart, Other Side of Sound. Now, normally I wouldn't plug somebody else's YouTube channel, not to be mean or cruel, like I want to be, I don't want to plug. It's just I don't want to mess up somebody's algorithm. Because if it's not the same type of channel or the same clientele or viewers, people watching you right now, watching this video, I don't want to send you to somebody else's channel if I don't think you would be interested in it. But this, I think, is worth watching. At the end of this video, you're going to see a link to go to his. One of the icons right there. It's going to be to go see The Other Side of Sound. Go to his channel. Watch. Quite entertaining. Same audio type of idea. Practical, reasonably priced range. Stuff that you're going to go out and buy on a regular basis. Stuff that, that you're going to like to have, and how it works. The most important thing is he's going to get into showing you how this all works in the real world. He deals with churches, and he's traveled around and helped a lot of churches set themselves up and do all that kind of stuff, where I do DJing and stuff like that. That's what he's doing, except he's doing it in a practical sense, or at least that's what he says he's going to do.
Let's see. How do I want to start this? Are you a church audio engineer? Do you mix at a place kind of looks something like this? I'll be back. Welcome. I need some tape. Gonna improvise. Yes.